चना चना मैं थोड़ा सा खाया था। नमस्ते दोस्तों, मेरा नाम जमील कुमार। आप लोग का स्वागत है फिर से हमारे चैनल में, जहाँ पर हम लोग अपने डेली लाइफ के बारे में बात करते हैं। और अभी अपना टारगेट है आपके साथ कम्युनिकेशन बिल्ड करना। सो उसके लिए हमने एक स्ट्रेटजी बनाई है, जिसके बुक रीडिंग, जिसके थ्रू हम आपके साथ अपना कम्युनिकेशन बिल्ड कर पाएंगे। सोशल मीडिया के साथ थोड़ा सा कंफर्टेबल हो पाएंगे, ताकि हम चीज़ों को और ज़्यादा अच्छे से समझ सकें इस प्लेटफॉर्म पर। चलिए स्टार्ट। पतंजलि योग सूत्र 4 वित्ति सारूप्यम इत्रत्र। Vritti means modification, sarupya means assumes from identification, itritra means at other times. At the other times, the self appears to assume the forms of the mental modifications. You seem to have lost your original identity and have identified with your thoughts and body. Suppose I ask you who you are. If you say I am a man, you have identified yourself with a masculine body. If you say I am a professor, you are identifying with the idea generated in your brain. If you say I am millionaire, you are identifying with your bank account. If a mother with a child, a husband with a wife, I am tall, I am short, I am black or white, shows your identification with the shape and color of the body. But without any identification, who are you? Have you ever thought about it? When you really understand that, you will see we are all the same. If you detach yourself completely from all the things you have identified yourself with, you realize yourself as the pure I. In that pure I, there is no difference between you and me. This is true not only with human beings but with everything. You will call something a dog because it has a dog body. The spirit in a dog and a human is the same. The same is true even with inanimate objects. There is the same spirit in a stone or a wall. If I use the term spirit of self, you might hesitate to believe me. But if the physicist says the wall is nothing but energy, you will believe that. So, using the scientist's language, there is nothing but energy everywhere. Even the atom is a form of energy. the same energy appears in different form to which we also give different names. So, the form and name are just different versions of the same energy, and according to the yogic scientists such as Patanjali and even many modern scientists, behind the different forms of energy is one unchanging consciousness of spirit or self. That is why, if we call calm our minds and get to the basis of all these modifications, we would find the unity among everything. That is the real yogic life. That does not mean we are indifferent to the changes and become useless to the world. Instead, with these experience of universal unity, we function better. We will have happy and harmonious lives. Only then can we love our neighbors as our own self. Otherwise, how is it possible? If I identify myself with my body, I will also see another person as a body, and the two bodies cannot be one. They are always different. If I identify myself with my mind, nobody can have a mind exactly like mine. No two individuals have the same body or mind. Even twins, even to the extent of the half-inch square thumb, we are not the same. Ask the fingerprint experts. They will tell you no, two fingerprints are the same. But behind all these difference in the self, we never differ. That means behind all these ever-changing phenomena is a never-changing one. That one appears to change due to our mental modifications. So, by changing your mind, you change everything. If only we could understand this point, we would see that there is nothing wrong outside. It is all in the mind. By correcting our version, we correct things outside. If we can cure our jaundiced eye, nothing will look yellow. But without correcting the jaundice, however much we scrub the outside things, we are not going to make them white or blue or green. They will always be yellow. That is why is based on self reformation, self control, and self adjustment. When this reformation is accomplished, we will see a new world, a harmonious and happy world. That is why we should always keep ourselves free from these wrong identifications. Yoga Sutra 5. Vritya Panchitya Klishta Klishta. Vritya means modification, Panchitya means fivefold, Klishta means painful, Aklishta means painless. There are five kinds of mental modification which are either painful or painless. Patanjali says there are five kinds of vrittis, say, and again these are grouped into two major categories. One variety bring us pain, the other does not. Notice that he does not divide the thoughts into painful and pleasurable. Why? Because even a so called pleasurable thought might ultimately bring us pain, and again we cannot easily know in the beginning whether a particular thought will bring pain or not. Some thought beginning began with pain but end leaving us at peace. Others appears to be pleasurable but bring pain. For example, our pity at another's suffering certainly causes us pain, but ultimately it expands our hearts and minds, give us more understandings and leaves us in peace. Instead of these terms, painful and painless, we might be able to understand this point better if we use two other words. Themselves, selfish thought and selfless thoughts. The selfish thought ultimately bring pain. For example, to love something or somebody is pleasurable, but many of you have experienced how the very same love brought you a lot of unhappiness, pain, hatred, jealousy, and so on. Why? Because that love was not just a pure love but was based on some expectation in return. There was selfishness in it. The expectation may be anything, a little financial comfort, some publicity, or a little physical pleasure. With the expectation, love seldom lasts long. So, love, though it appear to be painless thought, ultimately end in pain if it is based on selfishness. On the other hand, a thought like anger might bring pain in the beginning. The anger of a selfish person has no personal motive behind it, although that anger may cause somebody to feel bad in the beginning. Ultimately, it helps that person to correct himself or herself and to lead a better life. For example, a little strictness on the part of the classroom teacher is needed to reform the children and make them understand their responsibilities. Whatever the thought is, if there is no selfishness behind it, it can never really bring pain to the person concerned. The result is neither pain nor pleasure but peace. Seeing this truth, we should analyze all our motives and try to cultivate selfish, selfless thoughts. That is our first and foremost duty. Some people says, I thought that in the name of meditation and yoga we were supposed to make the mind blank and without thoughts. But you cannot make the mind thoughtless immediately. Many people try, but it is impossible. Once you make the mind thoughtless, you have attained the goal. But it is not that easy. Many people says, I have made my mind vacant. How did they know the mind was vacant? They were aware of it. Is not that type of awareness a thought? You have removed all other thoughts and retained these one thought of having made the mind vacant. This is not the real thoughtlessness. That is why we use the trick of developing certain positive thoughts. while removing negative ones. We say the mind, alright, if you want to create some thought forms, go ahead. But if you create thought that will bring you pain, you are the one who will suffer. If you are selfish, you will suffer later on. I do not want to kill you. I am your friend. I am interested in your welfare and peace. So please listen to me. Do not create thoughts that will rebound on you. Forget your selfishness, make other happy, and you will be the happiest person. By seeing other happy, you cannot be unhappy. But by making everybody unhappy, you can never be happy yourself. So, at last, for your happiness, bring happiness to others. If you really want to be selfish in the idea of retaining your peace. There is no harm in that selfishness, because by that you are not going to harm anybody. Instead, you will be bring the same peace to other also. If the mind says, I cannot be selfless, I must be selfish, tell it, alright, go to the other extreme and be selfish in refusing to disturb your own peace. In our daily lives, we always work with these two categories of thoughts. Now we know that selfish thoughts will bring misery and selfless ons leaves us in peace. How are we to know whether our thoughts are selfless or not? We have to watch carefully the moment a thought from arises in the mind. We become analysts. This itself is yoga practice, watching our own thoughts and analyzing them. Sutra 6. प्रमाण विपर्य विपर्य विकल्प निद्रा स्मृत्य स्मृत्य. Pramana means correct or right knowledge. Viparya means misconception or incorrect knowledge. Vikalpa means verbal delusion, imagination. Nidra means sleep. Smriti means memory. Aya, smritya. Aya means plural grouping these five. They are right knowledge, misconception, verbal delusion, sleep and memory. Here Patanjali names the five types of vrittis and explains them one after the other. Sutra 7. प्रत्यक्षा नुमानगमा प्रमाणानि प्रत्यक्षा नुमानगमा प्रमाणानि. Pratyaksha means direct perception. Anumana inference. आगम मतलब स्क्रिप्चुअल टेस्टिमोनी. प्रमाणानि means the source of right knowledge, and ani means the three are. The source of right knowledge are direct perception, inference, and scriptural testimony. One example of what Patanjali call valid knowledge is what you understand by seeing something yourself. Direct perception. If you see something face to face, you do not have any doubt. That is one way to get valid knowledge. Another is by inference. Seeing smoke, you infer there is fire, because without fire there cannot be smoke. When you see a cow giving milk, you infer that cows give milk. You have not seen them all, but you assume, and there is one more way. You may not have seen anything personally and may not have anything from which to infer, but a reliable authority or person who has really understood something tell you. Here we normally mean the Holy Scriptures, which we believe because they are the words of the sages, saints, and prophets. They have seen the truth and have expounded upon it. It so we believe them. That is why in the East, if anybody asks you to do some practice, it is expected that the scriptures also recommended it. You should not do something just because I say so. Everybody who has gone the same road should approve it, and the ancient scriptures should also approve it, because the truth is the same. It is not something to be newly invented. All our present day inventions can easily go wrong. What is the best thing today we will be the worst thing tomorrow. There are still no familiarized the word of the prophets, given though the holy scriptures are finalized, they cannot just be modified. But even in this we have to understand the difference between the basic truth and the presentation. Truth can be presented only through some or vehicle, form or vehicle. We should always remember that the truth of the self is the same, but when presented to you through words and form and modes, it may appear in the different ways to suit the individual of or trend of the age. The means ritual can be modified, language can be modified, but the truth can never be changed, because truth is always the same. The rites are just the skeletal scriptures structures that upload the outside building, but the foundation of all the rites should be the same. That is why whatever be the scripture, what whether from the east, west, south or north, the basic truth should be in agreement. It is something like remaining the same while changing your cloth, the suit, the occasion. When you go seeking, you do not wear your business suit. When you go to the office, you do not come with sticky boots on. Both these outfits are useless at a fancy wedding, and all three are ruled out if you go to the beach, but the person wearing the clothes remaining the same. In the same way, the truth in all scriptures is the same, but the presentation will vary. If a teacher says, concentrate and meditate or analyze your mind and develop virus qualities in your life. All the scriptures of the world should also say that. If I say in the name of yoga, you can tell 10 lies every day. That is the modern yoga. Believe me, you can always ask, where is the proof? I should be able to give a scripture authority. If I cannot, there is something wrong with me. That is why you need not just believe and follow some or something blindly. If you have any doubt, refer to any holy book. Has the Holy Scripture approved it? If you find it there also, then follow it. So, by all these three ways, the we get valid knowledge. Of course, whether it is valid or invalid, ultimately you have to set it aside to find your peace. But before the push out all thoughts, we try to analyze them and eliminate one set after another. We cannot just throw everything into on garbage pile. When I try to do not do that once, the assassinates asked me not to. They said, Gurudev, you have to put the vegetable in one, the paper in another, and the bottle in still another one. Why? The papers can be recycled, but the vegetables go into the compost pile for the garden. So even in throwing out garbage, you cannot just throw it into on pile. You can to sort it so that later on it will be easier to dispose of. It is the same way with the mind. You are going to dispose of all the thoughts as garbage, no doubt, whether they are good or bad, right or wrong, so that mind will be free from modifications. But before we come to that, it makes it easier to dispose of them if we sort them first. Why? Because we still have a little cleaning. We cannot just throw everything away so easily. For example, when your wardrobe is too full, you may say, I will give these dresses to somebody. But by the time you take it to the door, your mind will say, I think I should keep just thing one. See, first it is I will throw out everything. I do not want these things. Then when your friend comes to take them, you say, wait, just leave this one for me. I can use it for another year. Let it be. So we have to make use of this attitude. Your mental wardrobe is also full. You want to throw something out, but you do not feel like just dumping out everything. So you analyze, this is painful. It is not necessary, but these things seem to be nice. Let them be for the satisfaction of the mind. We are trying to analyze how many kinds of thoughts there are. Oh, you are not going to empty me completely. At least you are giving something back to me. The mind has to be tricked like that. I still remember when I was young boy, my mother used to feed me and I would make to fuse. No, I do not want it eat all. Oh, it is this too much, son? All right, I would not give you all of it. See, wood from all the rice into a flat dish. and then cut a line across and say, see, I am taking away half. You only have to eat the other half. So the other half would be pushed aside on the plate and she would feed me and I would be satisfied. But while I was eating, she would starting telling me nice story and before long the other half would also have vanished. If by any chance I looked down at the plate before the whole thing was empty and said, Mother, you are feeding me more. I do not want it. She would say, all right, son, I will take away this half. She said she would take away half. No, she always took half from the remaining portion. That is a trick is feeding a child. The same trick can be used in emptying the mind of thoughts. Tell the mind, all right, you have the much and I will take the rest away. After a while say, this also seems to be unwanted. Let's take this away also. You remove them little by little. That is why Patanjali is so careful is forming the thoughts into different groups.